Next on NCBA's Cattleman to Cattleman.
On this week's edition of NCBA's Cattleman to Cattleman, we travel with the Young Cattlemen's Conference of 2010. Plus, we'll visit one of this year's Environmental Stewardship award-winning ranches.
And now, NCBA's Cattleman to Cattleman with host Kevin Oxner.
Hello and welcome to this week's edition of NCBA's Cattleman to Cattleman. I'm Kevin Oxner. Thanks for joining us. Topping this week's cattle industry news, hundreds of cattlemen spoke up for their rights at a recent hearing about the proposed GIPSA rule. In Fort Collins, Colorado, livestock producers had the chance to communicate their concerns directly to the Secretary of Agriculture, Tom Vilsack. The proposed rule concerns the Packers and Stockyards Act and would change the way cattlemen are allowed to market their animals. The proposed rule would make some of the most sweeping changes to the act in its nearly 100-year history. While the proposed rule targets packers, it's cattle producers who will end up being hurt due to the liability changes that will require all marketing arrangements to be measured on, quote, fairness. In essence, the proposed rule would value all cattle on average, regardless of quality, resulting in a generic market and generic product. We will continue to follow this story and bring you more highlights from the meeting in Fort Collins in the coming weeks. Also, get your opinion on the GIPSA rule heard. Visit beefusa.org. NCBA works every day to develop sound science in regards to beef safety research. And joining me in the studio today is none other than Dr. Russell Cross, Professor of Animal Science from Texas A&M University. Thanks so much for coming to the show.
Thanks for having me, Kevin.
Tell us a little bit about what the industry has done over the last 20 years relative to food safety research.
It's a big number, in excess of probably spending over $3 billion to address the science that's needed to make food safe. But most importantly, I think, Kevin, is the beef industry has realized that they have a very significant role to play in producing safe food.
And tell me this, you use the word safe science. What role does science play in what seems like an increasingly political discussion around food safety?
Ideally, we would like to be able to say that policy that's developed in Washington is based on data and good science. But unfortunately, we cannot always say that. But we know that that's the way it should be. We should be developing risk-based programs based on strong research. And so the beef industry has invested millions in research over the years. And much of what's being applied in the industry today, what's being used by USDA, was research that was funded by the beef industry.
And looking forward, I mean, what are the kinds of things that the industry can do to provide that science that's needed?
I think the industry can continue to pull and work together like they do with BISCO to have one voice on what the science is saying and what the policy should be. They should continue to do that. They should continue to emphasize the research that's needed to answer the questions.
Very good. Thank you so much for all you've done.
My pleasure.
For more information, check out our website. Just visit us at cattlemantocattleman.org. The environment, it's a popular topic these days, especially in the consumer media. And many are asking questions about the impact livestock production has on the planet. At the recent cattle industry summer meeting, experts told a crowd of cattlemen that beef producers should be proud of being the original environmental stewards.
Ranchers and livestock producers in general should be proud of what they do, but they should also educate the public, because the public in large in the United States is misinformed and disinterested.
Hundreds of cattlemen and women gathered at the cattle industry summer meeting in Denver to learn more about the role they play in the stewardship of the environment. It's an especially important topic after a United Nations report claimed that livestock contributed more to greenhouse gas emissions than vehicles.
Pretty recently, in 2006, the United Nations FAO, Food and Agricultural Organization, came out with a report titled Livestock's Long Shadow. And Livestock's Long Shadow said that livestock produces more greenhouse gases than all of transportation globally. Meaning, cows produce more greenhouse gases than all trucks, trains, planes, ships in the world combined. So my team wanted to know, can that be truth? Can that be true, and does this number 18% that they use for their global assessment apply to the United States? And what we found was, no, it does not.
Dr. Frank Mitloehner and his team say that the UN report is inaccurate and that, in fact, U.S. beef production is extremely efficient.
Over the last 40 years, we have produced twice as much beef with half the number of animals. Now, that's a model for the rest of the world because that's exactly what we need to do in the next 30, 40 years to come, because we are increasing the global population of humans from currently 6.8 to then 9.3 billion people.
Also addressing the topic of the environment, Dr. Jude Capper. Capper says the industry is reducing its carbon footprint.
Nowadays, compared to 1977, we need 31% less animals, we need 20% less feed, 30% less land, and 14% less water to make a pound of beef. And what that also means is we have an 18% decrease in the carbon footprint per pound of beef, which is a really good thing.
These environmental experts agree that continuing to find new efficiencies is key to the future of the beef industry.
Whether it's a grass-fed system, whether it's a feedlot, whether it's the cow-calf operation, anything that improves productivity, calves born per cow, growth rate, days on feed, all of those will cut total environmental impact.
Just allow me to give you one comparison here. A California dairy cow produces 20,000 pounds of milk. A Mexican dairy cow produces 4,000 pounds of milk. It means you need 5 Mexican cows to produce the same amount of milk as one California cow. Now that's how you explain efficiencies to the public, because these 5 cows produce way more waste and way more enteric gases, belched out gases, than that one cow in California. That's what efficiencies mean.
Dr. Mitloehner says cattlemen are smart to arm themselves with information.
We want to be ahead of the curve. We want to know information before it becomes important, because one of the most detrimental issues occurring in livestock industries is that in the past they have always been behind the curve, being reactive, being responsive to accusations. How would it be for a change to have data that are available before something big blows up?
Reporting from the 2010 Cattle Industry Summer Meeting in Denver, Colorado, I'm Brian Baxter for NCBA's Cattleman to Cattleman.
Just ahead, we'll visit one Colorado ranch that's doing great and unique work to protect the environment. Also ahead on NCBA's Cattleman to Cattleman.
You learn the best practices from different people across the country, and it's helpful. It's to learn things that you can take back in your own operation and help yourself move forward.
We take a trip with the Young Cattlemen's Conference of 2010. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Comprehensive, practical, powerful. Now's the time to put the power of DNA to work in your herd with the Comprehensive Identity Profile. The inside information from Identity can help you make more confident replacement heifer and herd sire selection decisions, add marketability to your feeder cattle, make faster genetic progress, and more. The best time to get started is when you're already working cattle, during branding, weaning, or bull soundness exams. Get started today. Visit iGenity.com or call 1-877-IGENITY to put the power of DNA to work in your herd.
Quality matters to us because we're entrusted with the safe transportation of animals. Those animals can represent generations of hard work. It's up to us to deliver the goods that drive the beef industry. We link all the segments of the beef industry together, passing the torch of quality from one business to the next. Consumers count on us to bring the quality that starts on the family ranch to their home. I'm proud of what we'll do here today.
2 100% pure USDA inspected patties are only the beginning of what make the Big Mac famous, and that's what we're made of.
Get ready for the Rocky Mountain Roundup. Join the 2011 Cattle Industry Annual Convention and NCBA Trade Show in the city that gets 300 days of sun a year, Denver, Colorado. It's not only a great opportunity to connect with your fellow cattlemen, but you will also attend important industry meetings, find out about the newest technologies, and get all the information you need for a successful year. We'll see you in Denver at the Cattle Industry Annual Convention and NCBA Trade Show, February 2nd through the 5th. For more information, visit beefusa.org.
Welcome back. The weaning phase is arguably the most critical time in the life of a calf. The health and performance gains at this crucial time will affect both the animal's future performance and their value. Cattleman and Cattleman's Brian Baxter visited Thomas Angus Ranch in Oregon to learn more about how to start calves off right.
Whether you're raising kids or cattle, a strong start in life is essential. Dr. Stephen Myers is a nutritionist with Land O'Lakes Purina Feed, and he says that in the early stages of life, calves do face some critical challenges.
It's really amazing to think about the challenges these calves undergo. Whenever we think about just weaning and the fact that these calves have been out on grass and have had the luxury of nursing their mother, and now we are putting them under that stress of just the separation from mom and the calf. And we kind of use that example of, the stress of whenever our young child is going to kindergarten for the first day. That's just a stressful time in these children's life. So it's kind of like what these calves are doing. From a nutrition standpoint, if they haven't been on creep and they've been on grass, and now we're bringing them into a confined feeding situation and introducing them to grain, perhaps for the first time. That creates stress in that calf's life as well.
Rob Thomas runs a family seed stock operation, the Thomas Angus Ranch in Northeast Oregon. He says a focus on proper nutrition has helped him when it comes to giving newly weaned calves a strong start.
I think the greatest challenge, that we have when we wean calves is just getting them on feed. It's that transition from going from a cow into a feedlot or an off-the-calf situation. And so Impact Starter has really been a great way to get those calves, on feed without very much stress at all. And so we saw these calves come off and transition onto Impact Starter tremendously, and without a bobble. And so we just felt that went very well.
To get calves off to that good start, Dr. Myers says it's essential to recognize that at weaning time, calves do have unique nutritional needs.
Normally, a creep feed is designed to be a supplement to forage. And whenever we think about the formulation of a creep feed, yes, it is designed to supplement the deficiency in the forage. So we are providing a source of protein and yet also a source of energy. If we were to use that ration at the time of weaning, there's really some negative consequences of doing that. Whenever we think of creep feed and the consumption of that product, we're targeting 3/4 to 1% body weight intake. Now all of a sudden, if we bring that feed into the weaning receiving pen like we have here today, we are targeting to achieve a desirable gain in performance, and where we are wanting to keep these cattle healthy and get them off to a good start, they can overconsume on that product that was being used as a creep feed. Whenever we think about the sound formulation of a weaning receiving ration, what we are wanting to do is to get those cattle started on a product that is palatable. Something that when those cattle go to it, we are going to provide the rumen microorganisms with the sound nourishment that those bugs need to keep that calf healthy. We feel like that is when we can benefit in terms of getting good performance out of these cattle. It seems like to me today, whenever we think about a weaning receiving ration, there's a lot of cattlemen that may be happy if I can get these calves through that stressful time period without getting sick and maybe maintaining weight, they're happy. But today, we're living in a new world where there are products that are available to us where what happens if we can keep those calves healthy but yet achieve a 50 to a 75 pound gain in a 18 to 21 day period.
We'll return to Oregon for more tips from Purina up next.
You can tell a lot about a cattleman by his cattle. Purina AccuRation feed with intake modifying technology gives cattle that uniform muscular look. It maximizes forage utilization and controls intake based on forage quality and cattle needs. It reduces labor, saves time, and helps cattle perform to their highest genetic potential, boosting your net return. Available in AccuRation Cattle Limiter, Super Lick, Super Block, and Impact Starter. AccuRation feeds from Purina Mills, building better cattle.
Discover a great roundup for beef producers. Now, Boehringer Ingelheim Vetmedica Incorporated has rounded up the top brands of animal health products. You bet your boots you won't find more ways to protect your cattle. So trust the leader to protect your cattle. Trust Boehringer Ingelheim. Talk to your Boehringer Ingelheim animal health representative and discover how we can help your operation.
Let's return to reporter Brian Baxter, who's learning more about starting calves in beautiful Oregon.
In addition to using a starter feed to provide balanced nutrition to keep newly weaned calves growing, Dr. Stephen Myers of Land O'Lakes Purina Feed says facility design and layout is an important factor in giving calves the best chance to thrive.
And what we'd like to ideally do when we bring these calves into more of a confined dry lot type situation is to make sure that those calves have access to a good quality free choice grass hay. I mean, these cattle are coming in and being trailed off range, and we just want to make sure that we get some good roughage into these cattle. On day 2 then, as we would provide free access to our Impact Starter Complete in a self-feeder. Whenever we think about a self-feeder, a great management tip, in my opinion, on a complete starting ration is that we would be seeking 8 to 12 inches of bunk space per head. And that is very, very important that these cattle have adequate bunk space so they can go up and snack at the feed as it is designed. On an 8-foot self-feeder, such as the one that we have here at Thomas Angus, that means that we would be able to have on a feeder 20 to 25 head comfortably. Whenever we think about the pen arrangement and that kind of thing, we feel like it is very beneficial to have your self-feeder parked right up on the fence or perpendicular to the fence, as that first few days in which the calves may be going through stress and seeking mom, as they walk the pen, they find that feeder a lot easier, versus if the feeder was placed in the middle of the pen, it may be a day or so before they realize that that was where their feed was located. Another key ingredient to making a weaning program sound and successful is water. And these cattle here have been on a drinking fountain, so they know what a drinking fountain is. Perhaps if you're bringing in a set of calves that haven't been exposed to that, I think it's a good idea to put out a water tank where those cattle can find the water easier during that, particularly that first 4 or 5 days. Additionally, a sound management practice we feel is the use of a quality mineral. I really like the use of our Wind and Rain mineral tub with the Avela 4 ingredient. Those cattle that come in that are maybe timid will find that tub, it's molasses based, and it really helps to boost those mineral requirements quicker in these young calves.
Once calves are on feed, experienced producers like Rob Thomas know how to evaluate the success of the program.
We see quite a difference in hair coat and in just the overall look of the animal with the AccuRation. The Purina representative and ourselves toured through the calves several days after we weaned them, and we realized that these cattle really do have they're maintaining their flesh. You can see the vigor in the calves, and also you can see it in their hair coat and just overall condition. Cattle really maintain that, and they don't seem to backslide at all during the weeding phase.
As every cattle producer knows, dealing with cattle and the weather requires being able to adapt. For Rob Thomas, 2007 was a drought year, and a lack of forage had him looking to early wean some heifers with guidance from his local Purina representative.
We early wean these heifers on impact starter, and it really, you know, I mean, that was a reason, because of the availability of resources. It was our best option, and the performance in the calves has been tremendous. We're getting ready to breed these heifers here in a couple months. They're cycling. They're hitting the weights we want them to. They're very uniform, and they've done everything, you know, that we want them to do. And, you know, a lot of that is because of the product and because of the support that Purina has given us.
To learn more about starting calves off right and about proper nutrition, visit our website at cattlemantocattleman.org.
These days, more cattlemen choose Draxxin to fight BRD than any other brand. Here's why.
It works. We have fewer repulls, and the ones that we do repull respond, and we have fewer chronics in the end.
To retreat anything it's a lot more expensive than using Draxxin as a first time.
And the evidence backs up what most cattlemen already know. Draxxin cuts retreats by 50%. So talk to your veterinarian and check the online calculator at Draxxin.com. You'll see why Draxxin should be your first choice to fight BRD.
Basically, what it's allowed us to do with our operation is run more cattle through in a given period of time. It's just really been a good product to use.
Do not use in female dairy cattle 20 months of age or older. Do not use in calves to be processed for veal. Draxxin has a pre-slaughter withdrawal time of 18 days. Please visit Draxxin.com or call 1-888-DRAXXIN for more information.
It's been said that cattlemen are the original environmentalists. And for those who make their living from the land and who have a desire to leave a legacy for future generations, stewardship of the environment is a top priority. Now, as we have for the past few weeks, let's continue our series of reports on this year's regional winners of the Environmental Stewardship Award. We head to Region 5 and a beautiful family ranch in my home state of Colorado.
On any given day, it's not unusual to see 3 generations of the Doherty family working side by side on the Mesa de Maya Ranch. This commercial cow-calf operation runs about 500 head of red Angus through the canyons of southeast Colorado.
That's what this country is good for, is to run cattle on and everything. It can't be used for anything else. We just found out that the red Angus fit our environment the best, and it's been a real blessing to have those easy maintenance cows.
Mesa de Maya Ranch stretches across more than 48,000 acres of canyons, mesas, and grass prairie, and is home to a thriving wildlife population that provides hunting income for the ranch. While the care of the cow herd is a priority for the Dohertys, their primary concern is the native natural forages. The cattle are worked to ensure a healthy, sustainable grassland.
I guess we're true, as they want to say these days, green people, because we have a renewable resource that we keep using as long as you don't abuse it.
We look at ourselves as resource managers, or we've come to use a term called grass rancher. We are raising a renewable resource, and we harvest that resource with our cattle.
If you do not graze the grass, it will become dormant. It can die out. If the grass gets tall and shades itself, it can't get any sunlight, it will eventually die.
The Mesa de Maya herd is rotationally grazed across the pastures, with over 2/3 of the ranch being rested at any given time. This is helped by more than 100 miles of cross-fencing throughout the property. However, installing this fencing was no easy task, given the challenges of the land.
It's really challenging. We rotational graze, but it's different than a lot of people that have the flat ground. We have to try to figure out something that works within our environment, and so it's difficult. You put fences in where you can down here. You try to design it with the environment there, the terrain and everything.
This area receives only 9 to 14 inches of rainfall a year. So when a thunderstorm rolls through, it's important to have healthy grasslands to ensure that the water stays on the land.
If you've got good grass cover, it breaks that raindrop up and it doesn't hit the ground and cause erosion. Plus, if there's less runoff, it'll stay there better, so you get a lot more percolation of the water into the ground. It's vital to have good grass cover. If you overgraze and you have nothing there on the soil surface, it's going to run off, and that's not what we need.
Getting that water to the cattle is another challenge. The Dohertys partnered with NRCS to install 50 miles of pipeline to tie several watering facilities together. This provides clean water in remote areas for the livestock.
And we have to utilize the good wells we have. There's lots of areas that you can't drill a well and hit water. NRCS has been great for the development that we've had, because you can do a long-range plan and plan a whole system out, and we've done that, and it's been invaluable to us. I don't think we could have been near where we are, near have the efficiency with the land or the cattle that we have without it.
The Dohertys' commitment to conservation extends beyond the ranch's borders. The family believes in sharing their knowledge with others in the community, and Mesa de Maya Ranch has often been used as a demonstration site for new conservation methods.
But I just feel like if there's something I can tell somebody or help somebody out so it'll be easier for them or better for them, why, it's just the way I am, I guess.
From developing water resources and protecting wildlife habitat to carefully managing their cattle, the Dohertys know well that the practices they put in place today will affect generations to come.
It's been that way for 4 generations now, and there's 2 more generations behind us that we're trying to instill that sense of legacy and culture and stewardship, that you pass it on. You don't use it yourself. You're working for the next generation.
I know I'm so thankful for what I inherited, and I just really want for my family to have a chance to live a life that I did. And it won't be the same, but if they can do this, it's what my goal's been from the start.
It's always been about taking care of the land, because the land will take care of the cows. It just goes hand in hand.
Did you know you can see photos from our shoots online? Check out our Facebook page. Just search NCBA's Cattleman to Cattleman to become a fan. Our industry is very fortunate to have strong leaders who dedicate their professional lives to the service of the beef industry. One of those leaders is NCBA's Kendall Frazier. And at this year's summer meeting in Denver, Kendall was recognized for his 25 years of service to NCBA. He currently serves as the Senior Vice President of Governance at the association and was recognized by former staff members, family, and friends for his remarkable contributions to the beef industry. Joining me in the studio today is Kendall Frazier. Thanks so much for coming to the show once again.
Thank you.
You've seen a lot of changes and challenges over your 25 years. How would you identify some of the biggest changes you've seen in the industry?
Kevin, here are the biggest changes that I've seen in my 25 years of watching the industry. Number one is our cow herd. And 25 years ago, the percent of our cow herd that was black was not all that large. Today, it's almost 70%. Now, that's a significant change in the color of our cow herd and the amount of Angus-based cattle that we have in our cow herd. What I'm seeing today, though, is a return to crossbreeding and a return of the continental breeds and the Hereford breed coming back in to capture, as you know, the heterosis and hybrid vigor in our cow herd. So that's a significant change. All breeds of cattle can fit in the U.S. cattle industry, and I want to make sure I make that point. Number two, the development of EPDs has allowed commercial cattlemen to be much more specific in their breeding programs. And I think it's a revolutionary development that allows us to market, identify cattle on an individual basis. Number three, the growth of export markets is tremendous. We are setting on the cusp of an unbelievable opportunity for American cattlemen in the export markets around the world. Government regulations, the constant march towards more government regulation coming out of Washington, D.C. Everything from air, water, dust, how we use land. The pressure that we're getting just seems to ratchet up every year. Value-based marketing, a tremendous change where we're moving away from marketing on the averages as a commodity and identifying individual cattle. And as you well know, there are a lot of differences in the value of individual cattle, so that's a significant change. And then in the retail counter, a big change that I've seen. 25 years ago, if you walked into a supermarket and looked at the beef counter, you would see a lot of white in the counter. Today, our product is closely trimmed. We've gotten rid of the fat. It is much more appealing to today's consumer. So those are some of the most significant changes I've seen in 25 years.
Those are some big ones. And as you look ahead, give me your synopsis of some of the biggest challenges and opportunities our industry faces.
This is both a challenge and opportunity for us. And that is this fed cattle beef production model that only Canada and the U.S. have in the world marketplace today is under pressure. We have spent the last 60 years building that model from farm to fork. Now, there are a variety of reasons why it's under pressure and why the cow herd in the United States is decreasing. It's everything from what's going on in Washington, D.C., to the age of our producers, to urban encroachment, to competition in the retail meat counter. But we today are decreasing our cow herd. We're taking down our infrastructure, in other words, bunk capacity and packing capacity, at the same time that we have this great opportunity in the world marketplace for grain-fed beef in the world marketplace, because consumers around the world love it. So I see that both as a challenge and an opportunity.
Yeah. Well, I hope we can find ways to capitalize on that, and thanks to the work that you and others like you do, hopefully we'll find opportunities in amongst the challenges. Thanks so much for all you've done for the industry.
Thank you, Kevin.
Join NCBA today and support the work that people like Kendall Frazier do every day. Call us at 1-866-USA-BEEF or visit us at beefusa.org. We'll be right back.
You like the John Deere 568 round baler for everything it has. Now, you'll like it even more for what it doesn't. Get rid of the twine tie system and run a 568 with nothing but net. That's right, nothing but easy loading, fast wrapping, bale protecting, cover edge net wrap. Put one to work in your field. See your John Deere dealer today.
Before you head out here, get to Cabela's for gear that's tested, field tested, and proven. Field proven. No matter what your passion, you can trust our gear. It's guaranteed. And our selection? Legendary. Get top-of-the-line brands at bottom-line prices when you shop our catalog, stores, and Cabela's.com. Count on Cabela's, world's foremost outfitter.
Who doesn't love a John Deere XUV Gator? Pretty helpful on the farm and ranch these days. And now you can bid on a 2011 model to support the work NCBA does in Washington, D.C. For details on the John Deere Gator and to bid, visit beefusa.org. There you can see photos and get the specs. Now remember, bids must be received by September 16th at 5 p.m. Mountain Time to be considered. Check it out. It's a great way to support NCBA. Each year, state affiliates across the country nominate future beef industry leaders to attend the Young Cattlemen's Conference, or YCC. This year, 54 people made their way across the country learning about each segment of the beef industry. Reporter Justin Field has a look at the YCC class of 2010.
This YCC trip has been great.
It's been phenomenal. It's way more than I expected.
This has been such an incredible opportunity.
It's been fantastic. It has really opened my eyes as to what goes on in the beef industry.
Future beef industry leaders gathered from 26 different states and backgrounds to experience each segment of the beef industry firsthand.
Puts us all together on a bus and we get to see what the other portion of the cattle industry is doing with each other and how we all work together for the same common goal.
It's also great being able to meet everybody from all over the country and see how their pieces of the puzzle fit into yours and really do make such a great picture.
You know, one of the most rewarding things is when the first day, it's really, you see a group of individuals and they're a little nervous, a little unsure about what's going to happen over the course of the week. And as the trip evolves, it's exciting to see how they grow as individuals, but also how they come together as a collective group and really expand their knowledge of the industry and see where what kind of potential this industry has.
The 10-day trip includes stops at a cow-calf operation in Virginia, a feed yard in Colorado, and a McDonald's beef supplier in Chicago.
I've never been around the guys that are in the, running the feed yards and that kind of stuff. In Ohio, we don't have those kind of operations. To understand what they're doing, to understand what they're going through, just kind of puts things into perspective.
You learn the best practices from different people across the country, and it's helpful. It's to learn things that you can take back in your own operation and help yourself move forward.
This has given me some insight into political, packing industry, cow-calf. It's been able to really tie everything together for me.
One of the highlights on the trip is Boots on the Hill, where participants meet with their congressmen to discuss important beef industry issues.
I talked about the antibiotics, the use of antibiotics, about the water rights. We talked about the death tax.
It's good to visit with your congressman and kind of put all those pictures of the pieces of the puzzle into the big picture so you can get a clear picture of what our industry is all about.
I don't follow politics a lot, so it was a little bit intimidating. I had a great meeting with a former Department of Ag head from our state, and she was great. She gave me some good insight onto what I would hear from our politicians.
As the YCC class of 2010 headed home, participants hope others will also have the chance to experience the beef industry in this hands-on setting.
Anybody that has any interest whatsoever in a leadership position with any of their state, local, or national organizations needs to attend this trip. It is quite an experience.
It's been a great experience. All the contacts that I've met and the new people that I've associated with, and I can't imagine going home and not keeping up contacts with a lot of these individuals.
Reporting from Whitestone Farms in Aldie, Virginia, this is Justin Field for NCBA's Cattleman to Cattleman.
Think you or someone you know might be a good YCC candidate? Contact your state cattlemen's association for more details. A great beef recipe, perfect for a football tailgate, is up next.
Making the right implant decision today keeps you from having to re-implant cattle tomorrow. Whether you feed cattle for 130 days, 240 days, or something in between, Revalor XS has you covered. Revalor XS is the industry's first and only staged release implant that provides re-implant performance in a single implant. Revalor XS starts working the day you use it, then at about 70 days the second dose kicks in, delivering unsurpassed finishing performance from a single implant. While other feeders are re-implanting their cattle in the snow and ice this winter, you can have peace of mind that Revalor XS still is hard at work increasing your cattle's performance. You can't count on the cattle market or Mother Nature, but you can always count on Revalor XS. Contact your animal health provider about Revalor XS today and never re-implant again.
Welcome back. Are you ready for some football? Just in time for the football season, we have a great beef recipe that's perfect for those football tailgate parties. And with me today, we have Shanoa French with the NCBA Culinary Services team. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks for having me.
Shanoa, this looks a little different than most tailgate parties I've been accustomed to, but tell us what we're going to cook today.
We're going to kick it up just a notch, and we're going to do beef satay and a spicy peanut sauce.
Wow.
So the great thing about this recipe is you can do a lot of stuff at home in the morning, stick it in the cooler, get down there, set up the grill, and then have dinner ready for kickoff. Perfect. So we're going to start here with our peanut sauce.
Okay.
Okay. We'll get that done. This would be started ahead in the morning and then sent just in a cooler, in a Ziploc, whatever you want to do.
Okay.
We're going to start with creamy peanut butter.
I've got that.
This just here is a half a cup of creamy peanut butter.
Okay.
We're going to stick it in a bowl.
Yep, that's easy to find.
Yeah.
Even college kids have peanut butter.
Absolutely. Next, we're going to add in some soy sauce.
Okay.
This is just a couple teaspoons of soy sauce. If you want to use low sodium, we recommend that, but if you don't have it, you don't need to.
Okay.
Next is going to be milk. This is a third a cup of milk. That just gets added in. And the trick is when we start mixing this, you got to go slowly, otherwise you'll wear the milk. On top of here is going to be a couple teaspoons of lime juice.
Oh, wow.
So then just a little lime juice, that gives you your nice acid
okay.
in your Asian cooking.
And what are all our spices
These
here?
are the spiciness comes in. So we've got a little bit of sugar,
yep.
a little bit of cayenne, and then a little bit of powdered ginger.
Oh.
So that'll get added
Interesting.
in here.
Okay.
I'm going to get rid of these real
Sure.
quick. And then I'm going to just start, and you can either use a whisk
okay.
or a spatula, but the best thing to do is just going to be to kind of get these, whatever you're more comfortable with, get these good and combined.
Okay.
And you want just a real nice, it'll be a little looser than normal peanut butter, obviously, with the milk in there.
So do you have to chill it before, or I mean, do you have to chill it then and let it set, or you just whisk it up like this and take it with you?
Just whisk it up and then obviously throw it in the cooler because it's got milk in there.
Okay.
But when you get down there, it'll be easier to dip your satay in it.
Sure.
Sorry.
No problem.
When it's not as cold.
Okay.
So when you get down there, pull it out and let it come to room temperature. It can sit at room temperature for up to 4 hours. That's your safe zone with any of that stuff. So here you got it. Stick it in whatever you want to take with you to the game, and you're good to go.
Perfect.
So
I'm got to try that.
Alrighty. So next thing we're going to do is we're going to start going into a marinade. And this marinade, you start mix it in a bowl, and we're going to save half of it to brush your skewers with when you're cooking them. Yeah, and so the important thing about marinade, if you're going to use that to brush any of your meat, you save half and never touch the raw, and anything goes in the raw gets discarded for food safety.
Good food safety tip.
Yeah, so we're going to start, I'm going to start with it into just a bowl, and then we'll go ahead and go into Ziploc. In here I have just a little bit of an Asian dressing.
Really?
This is a low-fat Asian dressing that you can buy at the grocery store. Choose whatever variety you'd like. This is a little bit of a sesame ginger one, so we're going to add that in.
Yeah.
In the bowl here.
We've got a number of other spices there. What do you have there?
Next in here, we're going to use some fresh ginger. So it kind of mirrors the ginger that's in here. This is a fresh one. We've got a little bit of brown sugar, so it'll give you a little bit of nice caramelization on the grill too when you do that. And then it's fresh cilantro.
Oh.
So kind of giving you, a lot of people think of cilantro as more of a Mexican ingredient,
Spanish,
but it kind of gives you a better flavor, rounding out the flavor in that.
That's great.
So we're going to dump this
dump
one
all
in.
those in.
Yeah. And the nice trick, trick about marinades is that we're going to use a Ziploc bag, and so you don't really even have to stir all of that together.
Really?
I'm going to stir half of it so that we can reserve some of it back to use later.
Yeah, and I can sure hold that Ziploc for you if you
that
like.
for me?
You bet.
So we're going to get this stirred up. Real nice, and you're just combining those ingredients. So that when they're mixed together on the grill and you brush them on there, you have an equal distribution of all your flavors.
Well, this is easier than I thought. I saw all these ingredients. Okay, about half of it.
Yeah, so we'll do about half in there.
Put that in our fridge, keep it in our cooler.
Yep, and this will need to go with you to the game. So
Yep.
like I said, it goes in a little bowl. Make sure you bring a pastry brush with you, so that'll be important. We're going to stick this up here for later.
All right.
So what I'm going to show you now is how to slice some of this top round. This recipe calls for a pound of top round.
Excellent.
It's one of the 29 lean cuts.
I was going to say, yeah.
So, and it's a great use for round. It does need to be marinated, so that's kind of where this goes. And this recipe is best marinated anywhere from 30 minutes to 2 hours. We usually recommend that full 2 hours to help all the flavors and the acid that's in this marinade to kind of do its magic.
Sure.
That's why it's great. You can do it at home. The drive time, by the time you get there, you're ready to go.
There you go. Perfect.
We're going to do nice thin slices. We're going to be putting those nice thin slices onto the skewers. And most people generally think of satay as a chicken Asian dish.
Right.
And this is a great combination to use the beef flavors and Asian. It's just something a little different.
That's great.
You want to do real nice long strips, and only about 1/8 of an inch thick, because they only cook on the grill for a couple minutes, so you want them thin. So I'm just going to go ahead and slice nice long strip down. You can have this done for you at your butcher if you want to.
I see.
If they'll do it, another trick to do when you're trying to slice meat is if it's pretty chilled, like it's come out, not hard frozen, but it'll slice thin easier when you're using it really, really chilled.
Oh, okay.
So that's another trick for that.
That's a good idea.
So I'm just going to do 3 slices here and then show you. I've got a plate that's over here.
Oh, perfect. After it's marinated.
And these are, actually we can throw these, I'll show you real quick.
Sure.
Just go ahead and throw these into your Ziploc.
Yeah.
And get out all the air. So you kind of roll it towards you. And then make sure you close your Ziploc.
Like that. Okay.
And then it's ready to go in the cooler.
Oh, that's perfect.
Yeah, and so the more you toss it up, the more it gets incorporated.
Cool.
Now when you get down to the game, get your table set up and you get your either grill pan if you need to use that or your regular charcoal grill hot. Okay. We're going to use some skewers and these skewers, make sure you soak them in water.
Okay.
I can tell you a real easy trick with if you don't soak them, you're going to burn them and then you'll be pulling strips of meat off the grill without anything to hold on to. It's a little challenging.
Okay.
Little water bottles.
Okay.
You can unscrew the top, take out
and just stick them in there.
And just slip them in there.
That's
and then
a good
kind
idea.
of rotate them if you need to. That way there's no extra container, no mess.
Perfect. Okay.
The trick with these is you take one end and you're going to kind of weave them all on here and then pull them down.
I see.
Is the easiest way to do that.
All right.
So
well, show us how to do
we'll
that.
take one piece and I'm going to give it a little bit of a tail.
Yeah.
And then I'm just going to continue to weave.
Oh, I see.
And you go about every inch.
About every
is
inch,
the easy
okay.
thing. And
Good.
I always leave mine all together close and then I'll spread it out.
Spread it out later.
So if you try to push them down, then you're fighting yourself.
I see.
So I always do mine all up tight, up on the top
Like
here.
that? Okay.
And then I will slowly, you kind of look like ribbon candy.
Sure, just
so you
ease it
kind of
down.
push them down. And you want a little bit of the snake-like ribbon effect.
All right.
It'll help with cooking quickly on both sides.
Yeah.
So that's a real quick, easy.
Oh, that's cool.
And they're all skewered.
that doesn't take
like I
very
said,
long.
this is something that can be done right when you get down there. Bring a glove or something, that way you can wash your hands.
Sure.
But you're all set.
Get them all skewered, and then we're ready to go to the grill.
So then they're all skewered. And then we'll move over and just stick these right on the grill or on the grill pan.
Yeah.
I'm going to grab these just with my fingers.
Sure.
And basically, these are a quick, like 2 to 3 minutes.
Oh,
they're
okay.
quick because they're real thinly sliced.
Yep.
So you'll do them about 1.5 minutes, 2 minutes on one side. We're going to brush them with some of that leftover marinade.
Sure.
And then they're ready to go.
Outstanding.
So
it's quick
real
and
nice,
easy. Yeah, no
medium
kidding.
heat on here. Just going to throw these little guys on.
Easy to eat while you're standing around with folks.
Yeah, and the nice thing is most people think of, I'm going to go to the tailgate and I'm going to have to eat hamburgers and hot dogs.
Hot dogs, yeah.
And this is something that if people are trying to be conscious of carbs, they're not eating a bunch of buns.
Yeah.
And you can kind of pair this with some Asian-style salads, some Asian coleslaws. That way you get your cucumbers and your nice vegetables with it. You got a little peanut butter, so that kind of gives you an extra little piece of protein in there.
And while you're turning those, it looks like this is what we end up with. This looks great, Shanoa.
Yeah, that's just a nice platter that we put together.
Yeah. And then you've got this, again, this peanut sauce here, and I can tell you that tasted fantastic. Well, this is a great new twist on a typical tailgating party, and I appreciate you coming and sharing these ideas with us. If you want more information on this and other great beef recipes, just visit us at cattlemantocattleman.org.
Beef Quality Assurance, BQA, is a program designed to ensure the consumer that your beef is safe and wholesome and of the highest quality, and it lets the buyers of your calves know that you know what you're doing. It's consumer friendly and can be a big part of giving them a great dining experience. So check it out at bqa.org and see what it takes to get involved in your state. Whether you got 15 cows or 1,500, it's the right thing to do.
Trust. Out here, it's that rare combination of reliability, integrity, and the peace of mind that comes with having both. After 20 years of making hitches, the B&W Turnover Ball has become the most trusted gooseneck hitch in the country. Why is that important? Because trust is not only hard to earn, it's hard to find. The Turnover Ball Gooseneck Hitch by B&W. Trusted.
It came from out of nowhere, like a prolapse in the night. Which in fact is what it was, my friends. The Calvette's scourge and plight, that pudgy pink projectile from those monster movie scenes, like some whopping giant burrito filled with attitude and beans. I was soon laid down behind it on a hillside in the muck, while the cowboy shined his high beams from his perch there in the truck. His rope stretched from the bumper to her front legs tied in haste as I wallowed in the darkness like a frog stripped to the waist. You can strip to the waist from either end, ladies and gentlemen. And if I took off my pants, you'd know what a frog looked like stripped to the waist. It was bigger than a tree trunk. It was slick as old chow mein. It was heavy as a carpet someone left out in the rain. I tried to gain some purchase as I pressed my fist in tight. It was thrashing like a porpoise. It was putting up a fight. I got it in a hammer lock. It was like a rabid dog. I wrapped my legs around it like a monkey on a log. I pushed until my shoulder disappeared inside the mass as I scrabbled for a foothold in the mud and frozen grass. But alas, with one huge effort, she expelled me from her grip. I shot out like a cannon, rolled and did a double flip. But I grabbed her tail in passing, and with strength born out of war, I dove at the appendage like some punch-drunk matador. I lifted her hindquarters and I swung her side to side, and then, like smart men do, used my head to push it back inside. It was dark there for a minute. It's hard to catch my breath. But there she lay, my patient I'd saved from certain death. The cowboy rolled his window down and said, "Doc, are you all right?" He gunned the engine several times. The headlights got real bright. "I've seen a prolapse done before, but never quite like that." Oh, they taught us that in vet school, but I think it ain't my hat. This is Baxter Black from in there.
Thanks so much for joining us for this week's edition of NCBA's Cattleman to Cattleman. We'll see you back here next week on RFD TV.